I'm Zach Clinton here, Vice President of the American Association of Christian Counselors, on our Built Different podcasting platform with a pioneering leader in the mental health field, Dr. John Townsend. Today we're unpacking his book, People Fuel, Fill Your Tank for Life, Love, and Leadership. In and throughout this book, John, you talk about 22 ingredients or nutrients for relationships. And I got to ask you, I know there's so many to unpack, but are there like 1, 2, 3, 4? How many things would you say are, these are things that are non-negotiables, that are necessary in our relationships if we want to get them right?
Well, we'll give you one better than that.
Yeah.
We're going to pack them into 4 groups.
Come on.
The 4 groups are easy to understand.
Yep.
The first group is to be present. And be present means listen and shut up, which is kind of hard for us sometimes. Don't give them a bunch of advice and tell them 14 things to do and, go work out, go have a quiet time, go pet your dog. Just be there, because it's so important that people need to know someone is in the well of pain with them. In Job, it says that when he was in his grief state, that his friends did not speak a word to him day or night for 7 days because they knew how deep his grief was. Sometimes the best thing you can do or take from someone else is, can you be emotionally present? I don't need advice right now. I need to know how bad my overwhelming situation is. So be present is huge. The second nutrient is what we call convey the good. Sometimes people need like a pep up, like a little Prozac in their system.
That's right.
When somebody notices that you've done something right and they go, you really persevered. Your daughter's kind of in a bad place and you were so patient with her, or I saw you handle that team meeting and man, you handled it really well. And if you say it at the right time, it just makes their year sometimes. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we need someone present in our pain. Sometimes we need somebody to say, well done, good job, and it just helps. The third one is deliver reality. Deliver reality. Sometimes we need, in Lord of the Rings, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah.
Gandalf, the big guy with the beard.
Yes.
Okay, he was wise. He had all the kind of weird answers and he knew what was really going on. You need somebody to be wise and say, I've got a weird thing in my relationship. And they may say, yeah, because you haven't done this. Or in my business, I've got a problem in our cash flow or whatever. And somebody says, yeah, because if you go underneath, you'll see and change this. So you need sometimes people to say, give me some reality that I don't have and I don't possess. Yeah. So that's deliver reality. And the fourth one is called call to action. Because we just can't sit around being healthy, looking at our navels and going, life is more than that. The world to deal with. Sometimes we need somebody to encourage us and say, what are you going to do about this? What's your assignment? What's your plan of action? Because most of what I study now is neuroscience. What I found out, Zach, is that every great study done in neuroscience, whether it's resilience or challenge or love or whatever, it basically affirms the Bible's true. There's a Bible verse for every great study. And one of the things neuroscience says is if you don't take an action step with some decision, within 90 days, you'll lose like 85% of what you had. Wow. So do something. Movement is good.
Wow. Those are 4 incredible, just being able, kind of quadrants that you build throughout your book, and those 22 relational nutrients. All of our readers, I would say, need to read this because it'll definitely help them. But an old saying that you and I both know is that healthy people are what make healthy relationships. I'm interested, for the listener or viewer today that maybe continually finds themselves in detrimental or toxic relationships, what are some practical steps that they can begin taking today that would help them start attracting the right type of people that will begin to fuel them or fill their cup in their amounts of energy for the road forward?
Yeah, it's really important to know that. Otherwise, people will have the same train wreck over and over again in a different suit, that sort of thing. I used to tell people, start saying boundaries. But if a person attracts people on a chronic level, they've got to do something different. They have to go to a safe place and get at least 1 or 2 people in their camp, because it means you don't have a healthy template for what you'll put up with. You got a toxic template. Maybe you've always had controlling people around you, or you've had narcissistic people around you, and if that's or a lot of trauma, then you got a bad template. So that means get a good Christian counselor. Go to a good, healthy Christian church. Find people that love you but will tell you the truth. Begin bonding with those people and allowing them in and learn to trust them. The template changes, and it's like magic. Then you get around the crazy narcissist, and they'll start doing whatever they do, and you'll go, it's like being in a restaurant saying, I think this is bad food here, and you walk away. You got to get the good thing before you can say no to the bad thing.
You got to get the good thing before you can say no to the bad thing. Something else you talk a lot about is building your essential life team. I'm interested. Who's on your life team? How important are they for your life? And why do you push people to really prioritize the individuals that they allow in that inner circle?
I do that because of the way that Jesus kind of spelled it out when he said, He said, "Who are my mother and brother and sisters but those who do the will of God?" And he was making a very important statement there. He was saying we all grow from family, but sooner or later you've got to add to your biological family. Some people had a great one, some people had a not so great one, but either way, you got to add to your biological family people from the second family, which is the church, those who do the will of God. And so that second family, we don't have time to be everybody's best friend. But we need a few people around us that have different gifts and strengths. As long as they've got certain characteristics, and if they've got those certain characteristics I talk about in the book, they walk through life with you, they encourage you, you encourage them, you're both vulnerable to each other. The core values are kind of the same. They don't have to be perfectly the same, but you find out you got these foxhole buddies now. Now in mine, I don't have, some of mine don't even know each other because I went for the quality. I've got some in the other part of the country because I picked and chose.
I love that.
And we're in for life. But when that happens, all of a sudden you know that no matter what happens, somebody already understands you. You don't need to explain yourself to them. They'll never judge you, and they're on your team. How can it get better than that?
That's right. I can think of several friends, right, that fully know me and fully accept and love me in that manner. And I'm incredibly thankful for my essential life team. John, how we always like to close our conversations here, as you know, on the podcast, is just by leaving the mic open for our guests to share just a pressing word that God has placed on their heart for such a time as this. So to the person that I really want you to speak to is maybe the individual out there that feels a little lonely, that doesn't feel like they have much fuel left in the tank in terms of people in their lives that they feel safe or they can trust. What's the last message of hope, encouragement, and motivation that you want to leave that individual with today?
I'd like to leave them with a word picture from the Bible. Jesus was on the Mount. He was looking at his forthcoming torture and death. And here he is talking to the Father in these last few hours. And yet, while he was with the Father, he turned around to three guys, Peter, James, and John. He said to them, "Can you stay with me because my soul is distressed?" In fact, in the Greek, one of the definitions is depressed. Jesus could have been clinically depressed then. And here you got God himself communing with him in all his grace, but he still needed, the leader of leaders still needed to have some people. God wants you in our audience to have that too. If you don't have anybody in your life that is on your side, on your team, find a healthy church, drive to it, fly to it, and say, who can care about me, and find a good Christian counselor. That's almost always the first starting point.
I love that, because hope, right? Hope's a person, someone that we can build an intimate and personal relationship each and every day.
Yep.
John Townsend, you truly are a pioneering leader in the faith. I want to ask for all of our listeners and viewers, where can they go to find out more about you and also to purchase your new book, People Fuel?
They can go to drtownsend.com, and People Fuel's in all of the usual places, Barnes & Noble and Amazon, or you can go to townsendinstitute.com and find out what we're doing in our grad school.
Go to drtownsend.com, townsendinstitute.com. All of those places provide incredible resources. Again, I challenge all of our listeners and viewers, go buy and purchase this book, People Fuel. It's life-changing. It's incredible. It'll give you those 22 relational nutrients that are necessary in order to be able to find the friendships that last and really mean something in this life. John, thank you for just your love and devotion and being a part of our family here at the AACC. We're all incredibly thankful for you. I know I am. Thank you for your time and your willingness to join me on the show today.
Thanks, Zach.